Good evening, all you beautiful people. Thank you for tuning in for our next LGBT Outdoors live video. We're glad that wherever you're at in the world, that you're taking some time and connecting with us to help get everybody connected to the great outdoors. Want to just take a little bit of time and tell you about a couple cool things that we have going on. We just want to make sure that everybody realizes we're more than just an Instagram page. Yeah, our Instagram page is great and people get connected on there, and we love featuring people from all over the world that loves the outdoors, but we're more than that. So we want you to, in your free time, check out our website, which is lgbtoutdoors.com. Lots of great resources on there for you to get connected to the outdoors. We have our blogs on there. If you are interested in being a guest blogger, you think that you have something that you can offer to our community, we would love to hear from you. You can either DM us on Instagram or shoot us an email. We'd love to connect with you. As well as if you're interested in doing a live video chat with us, we could talk about that as well. Other cool thing on our website is our directory. This is something that we've been building for a little while and we'll continually to build it. If you say you want to go camping, you just hit the search button. You can type camping in there and select camping from the drop down menu, and it'll give you a great opportunity to check out resources that we have there for camping. Um, Also, we have started a new thing that we just launched today, which is a private Facebook group for our LGBT outdoors community. The purpose of this group is so people can come together, learn from each other, communicate, and really get connected. Because a lot of times we feel maybe a little bit isolated as part of the LGBTQ community that loves the outdoors. And this is a great resource where we can meet other people like us and find out about cool opportunities around the country and around the world. So if you want to check that out, we've got the link up there, but you can go to facebook.com/group/LGBT Outdoors and check that out. Next Tuesday evening is going to be our next live event, and we're really excited. We're going to have Nikki Smith. She is an avid climber as well as a professional photographer that just rocks. We're going to talk to her some about climbing and about photography and how, even as an amateur photographer or as just somebody that loves the outdoors, how you can take some better photos for your Instagrams, because we know that we love those great photos to be able to post on our social media. So, with that said, I'm excited to introduce our guest for tonight. Um, our guest tonight is Andrew Shayde. He is an experienced outdoorsman and is passionate worker in youth advocacy. He writes comics and even was a contestant on the Amazing Race. So from Lexington, Kentucky, welcome Andrew. Hey
Hey,
Andrew.
how's it going?
Good. How you doing tonight?
I'm good. I'm really good. It's day 462 of quarantine, and this is the first time I've put on clothes in 17 days. Uh,
Well,
well,
thanks for
uh,
doing that.
my night, my nightly ritual is hang out here in my living room, drink bourbon, and try not to go crazy.
Well, it does good to get dressed up, and I know you even put on some cologne for the special event.
I did. I was like, and I was like, why the hell did I just do that? I'm in my living room alone. I
That's
have
awesome.
it.
I think I
You can
can
have it.
smell it coming
If I if
through.
I yeah, if I put on my suspenders, normally I know I'm putting on some cologne. So I'm trying to go out and uh, by myself. Smell good.
That's all right. You've got family around tonight, and we're excited for what you have to share with us tonight. And speaking of
Well,
being quarantined and locked down, what have you been doing, and what has quarantine been like for you these past
um,
few weeks or so?
well, I was traveling internationally for the first part of quarantine. The world kind of shut down while I was gone. So by the time I got home, everything was already closed. So it was like a real quick, like, what the hell happened
Oh
while I was
wow.
gone? But since then, I've been working from home. I work for Arbor Youth. We're a homeless emergency shelter for kids that come from abuse or abandonment. So I've been working from home on my computer, and I've started going on a
Nice.
lot of walks. I'm like, if there was like a wall walker or a mall walker, but like I'm a neighborhood walker, so I know all the neighbors now. I'm like catching up on my gossip with all the little old ladies who sit in the chair in their driveway. and I'm out on the sidewalk. I get all the like gossip that that person two doors down said this and did hooked up with this girl, you know. And I'm like, I'm in the neighborhood no now. It's so exciting.
That's
I'm doing
awesome.
about 6 to 8 miles a day, just walking. So
That's awesome. Are you right in the city, or do you have other trails nearby? Is it what's it like right where you live?
I'm pretty much in this. I'm pretty much in the city, and Kentucky is probably a lot like everywhere else. All of our good parks and some of the best outdoor areas are closed, unfortunately.
Yeah,
So I'm doing a lot of street walking, and that's what's keeping me sane, though. It's just getting my blood flowing. I put my headphones in and just jam music, and that's what's keeping me alive, really, right now.
that's awesome. And are you working on comics now as well?
Yeah, I just finished a first issue of a brand new series. Um,
Nice.
2 or 3 days ago. I just submitted to my publisher, and so I have 3 more books to finish in that storyline. So that's pretty exciting. You know, it gives you something to do from home. I'm working with another writer. This photo here you can see is from the release of my first book. There's some of my books there, and but the new series. This was Monsters Among Us, my first series, which I love. I got to create from scratch, and right now I'm working with another writer and an incredible artist who we just found out who that's going to be today, but it's one of those things I'm not allowed to talk about it until the publisher announces it, and because we're working with a big celebrity on it, and so that's fun.
Nice.
But
If people are
yeah,
interested in your comics, how do they find more information about your comics?
um, I'm probably the easiest thing to do is if you want to get it in print or digital on your Kindle or whatever, just up on Amazon and search my name, Andrew Shayde. My books will all pop up right there. That's about the easiest
Perfect.
way. Or yeah,
That's awesome.
it's a good thing to read while you're here quarantined and don't have much else to do. So
Right, for sure.
yeah.
I
Uh,
know some of our guests are interested in, some of our viewers are interested in us dropping the hint that you were on the Amazing Race. We would love to
oh
know more
yeah.
about that. I know that that was,
Yeah.
say, a couple of years ago, but it's still fun.
Uh-huh.
And I know me and my
Yeah.
husband Patrick had a great time going back and watching them. But what was that experience like?
Yeah. Man, The Amazing Race is the wildest adventure you could ever imagine. It was kind of my first experience traveling around the world. I did it with my dad. My dad is Southern Baptist, very conservative, very Republican. I'm very not. I'm very liberal, gay, Democrat. So we are night and day as far as philosophies on a lot of things. But he is a good man, and we made a good team because we get along. We realize that we see a lot of things very different, but we both care a lot about people and being kind, and so we get along on a lot of in a lot of ways too. And so to get that time really alone with him in all these airports and flights in different countries, and in such a stressful environment where you can't speak the language,
Yeah.
you haven't eaten in 3 days, you have no idea if you're in first place or last place. You're in places you have no idea where you're going next. You really have to kind of rely on each other and keep each other calm, keep each other focused. And he and I were like, we did that really well together, and it was kind of like forced family therapy. It kind of like made us
Yeah.
talk about the gay issue. That's why CBS chose us for sure. Southern Baptist dad and gay son. Oh yeah, they're on the show
Right.
for sure. So it kind of forced us to talk about it, and we kind of found a new level of respect for each other just because we got to kind of hammer it out. You know, Dad, this is what I think, and he's like, Andrew, this is what I think. You know, and we just kind of like hash that out and try to see a little bit more eye to eye, which we hadn't done uh, very much prior to that.
That's really cool. So it sounds like it was a really good experience, if nothing else, for your relationship with your dad. Which now,
Yeah.
how is that relationship now? Because this was back in 2002 when you were on the show.
Uh huh. Yeah, I was just the tiniest, dumbest little twink you ever saw, and but it's 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 a great relationship now. I mean, we're like buddies now, and we'll heckle over politics, and we'll fight, and then we'll smoke a cigar on the back deck and laugh it off, and kind of come to understanding. So we have a good relationship now, but that took years.
Yeah.
That took a lot of time to for us to get there, and one of the most amazing things I think that happened for both of us after the Amazing Race aired is we got a lot of emails and letters from people that were like, I'm really distant from my own father, or
Wow.
I haven't spoken to my parents in years. When I came out, they kicked me out, and uh, you and your dad kind of inspired me to try to recontact with my family, and a lot of these folks did, and we're trying to rekindle relationships amongst their family because they saw that my dad and I were somehow able to do it, and hell, if we could do it, anybody can. But it was that was if anything humbled you, that did it for sure.
Yeah, I was gonna say if anybody can make a relationship work, we're going having a Southern Baptist pastor father and a gay son. I think that that can give hope to a lot of people. I do want to
Yeah,
remind all of
everybody's
our. Oh, go ahead.
no, I would say everybody's stereotyped. Gay
Yeah,
LGBT people, we're stereotyped all the time. We're drug addicts. We're all this, that. Southern Baptists even are stereotyped as being, you're burning in hell, blah, blah, blah. I grew up in Baptist
yeah,
churches, and I am still friends with so many of them. They are amazing, supportive,
that's
affirming.
awesome.
Uh, so I hate seeing people stereotyping entire groups of people
Yeah.
based on sexual orientation, gender identity, religion, whatever. We gotta quit that.
Yeah, for sure. That's great. I do want to remind everybody that's watching right now, there is a chat that you can communicate with us on. We would love for you to say hi, let us know where you're watching from. Also, if you have any questions for Andrew or for myself, we would love to take those questions. We'll probably ask those towards the end. Um, but feel free to drop those questions, comments, anything in there. Let us know where you're watching from. That'd be great. So let's jump into the outdoors now.
Yeah.
How did you get involved with the outdoors? I know that's something that came as a young kid, um,
Hmm.
but a lot of kids grow up in the city, so that's kind of a foreign thing from them. So kind of explain how this all happened.
Yeah. Well, mine really kind of came almost geographically. The house that I grew up in here in Lexington, Kentucky, backed up to a giant field that led to woods, and it was just miles and miles of the wilderness. So, uh, despite having Atari and Nintendo and Super Nintendo, which I never played, I was the kid that woke up in the morning, scarfed some breakfast, and just ran out into the woods, and I was gone all day. I would be out there catching crawdads and catching snakes and frogs, and in my mind, I was a Goonie. Like I was always on an adventure, and that was such a magical, exciting place out there in the woods where no one knew where I was except for me. And I'd rally up all my little neighborhood friends. When I was 9, all my 9-year-old buddies would all go out there and have adventures and make believe, and I just loved it. I loved every second of it. My parents literally installed a giant bell on our back deck that could be heard for 3 miles. So when it's time to come home for dinner at the end of the evening, they would just pull the bell, it would ding, and I could hear it from forever. I'm like, ah, dang, I got to go home to dinner. And that was always my call to get out of the woods and get the mud off my feet and wash my hands and get ready for dinner. And I loved it. That's like I said, that was
Yeah.
my way of having an adventure.
Yeah, I can relate to a lot of that. Like I grew up on a farm. The creek was everything. Going out there, and just really
Yeah.
just being in
I
nature
come
is
home with a
really.
bucket full of crawdads or minnows and hand them to my mom, and she's like, what, what you want me to cook them? Like, what do I got to do with this? So she usually would,
Ah, that's
uh,
awesome.
yeah,
And so then over time, though, the outdoors became something that just kind of faded from who you were.
yeah, yeah. I mean, the real world, steps in and had a job. I moved. I lived for several years in Dayton, Ohio, and then moved to Portland, Oregon, and I lived in Oregon for 8 years. And you're kind of start to get in that concrete jungle. All my friends,
Yeah.
when we went had free weekends, they want to go out to the bars and go to the cool hip spots. And so camping was never something that I could generally corral a lot of friends to go do with me. And not necessarily the one to camp by myself. I want it to be a group fun exercise. So we generally ended up going to cabins with hot tubs and saunas and these real fancy chalets, and so it was tough for me to get is still to get a lot of my LGBT, my career friends, to go out and camp and sit around a fire all night drinking and talking shit and hiking through the wilderness someplace we've never been. And every time I bring it up, they're like, bug, I'm not going because there's bugs, or there's a snake, I may see a snake, or I'm like, come on guys. I'm still working on that. I've started organizing a hiking group last fall here in Central Kentucky for LGBT people to go hiking in a group together. And of course, the winter hit and then Corona hit. So I'm excited when the opportunity comes to bring that back, get people out of the concrete jungle and back into the woods. I've missed it so much. I describe it as like I'm having this like resurgence of wanting to get outside and into the wilderness again. It's like I've got dirt in my blood again, and I'm just missing it so
Yeah.
bad. It's like that the woods is calling. I don't know if you see, I don't know if you're as gay as me and if you've seen Frozen 2. Elsa hears this voice like "Ah," like singing to her, and it's like, come here. That is what I hear singing in my ears from the woods. It's, "Ah." I'm like, I think he's calling me. That's like literally what it feels like.
I
That's the
love
gayest
it.
reference I've ever made in my life.
That's awesome though. I love it. Let's back up here a little bit though. Like what ended up drawing, okay, besides Frozen 2 and the music, what ended up drawing you back into the woods? Because it's only been what, a year maybe or so since you've really decided that you wanted to get back
Yeah.
into nature and the outdoors and everything. So what was it that really drew you, and what was the first steps you took to be able to make that happen?
Yeah. I think it was a quick conference. I organized an event here in Central Kentucky called Last Wednesdays, and it's a professional networking happy hour. It's once a month, and it's a during the day, low music, no entertainment, just a chance for people to come and talk and shake hands and make new professional or personal acquaintances. So I organized that once a month, and I
Cool.
started having conversations with other people that I was meeting, new friends, and that came up a couple times. Like, I wish there was something outdoors, is what people kind of kept mentioning. And I was like, man, that's true. I kind of miss it. So I found, some of my friends
Yeah.
who, are not necessarily camping kind. I found a few that were, and I thought, well, maybe if I plan something, it's like the Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come. So it's like maybe if I plan something, a hiking trip, something fairly simple, any level of experience could do, then maybe people will start to find their way back out into the woods with me. And on my very first time planning it, I had like 23 people show up, and I
Wow.
maybe knew four of them. That was incredible, and I was like, okay,
Wow.
I'm not the only LGBTQ person out here that's wanting to get out into the woods and doesn't mind getting a little dirty.
Yeah, that's one of the things that we are really seeing with the LGBT Outdoors group that we've started. A lot of people are reaching out to us, especially on Instagram, because that's kind of our biggest platform right now. Um,
Mhm.
but a lot of people are reaching out to us and just being like, I saw you feature this fly fisherman from wherever, and I've never even knew that there was any other gay fly fishermen, and now we've connected and be able to
Yeah,
share stories and stuff. And so,
yeah,
like, I think that there's a part of the LGBTQ people that are almost afraid to say, I do love the outdoors. It's like they almost hang up
yeah,
onto
yeah.
wanting to be like the city and the bars and all that kind of
Hmm.
stuff. And there's too much nature and bugs, and all that kind of
Yeah.
stereotypes that
And
go
let me
along with that.
and I want to be very clear. I love the city and I love bars and I love social time downtown. I love all that. And I
Sure.
understand that outdoors isn't for everybody, and that's okay. So it's not there's one wrong way or the other. It's just finding other people that have that same interest to connect with to do the things you like to do. And yeah, I've also been amazed how many people are like, let's do it. I grew up in and some of the like, we kind of talked about my dad earlier in our relationship growing up Southern Baptist and not, what
Right.
that's been like. But one of the things that really always connected us was the outdoors. And, he'd always teach me survival tips. We'd go hunting and fishing. And there's a plot of land not far outside of Lexington that we'd go to and just spend weekends. And he and I would sit on the fishing dock till 2 in the morning, just looking at the stars and talking. And it's kind of some of the best times. So
Yeah.
it's definitely fun to get back to that. And I kind of want to show people, okay, there's different levels of camping. You can go like super extreme and backpack for a week, and your feet
Right.
may be bleeding by the time it's over. You're covered in mosquito bites, but there's also like you can like park your car and set up your tent right next to it and have a air mattress, and
Right.
like you can like find your comfort level in the outdoors. But there's just something magical out there. There just is.
And I think like a lot of times those magical moments are some of the smallest moments that there are. Like you were saying, laying on the dock and watching the stars at 2 in the morning. I can remember a really cool experience in Montana that me and my husband had of him just skipping rocks into the sunset. It's not something like
Hmm.
you have to spend a ton of money on or
Yeah.
anything or make something big and elaborate out of it. It's some of those simple things, going out and watching the sunrise, that really
Yeah. I mean,
make an impact
on a
on you.
weekend, you want to get away, and if you want to do a weekend in a nice downtown hotel, that'd be $275 a night. Or this
Right.
tent camping site is $17 a night. So it's definitely can be a cheap extracurricular activity, exercise. It's just good for you, to get out and walk
Absolutely.
and be away from the city and the pollution and the noise and the Wi-Fi and just get out where you get to talk with people again. I feel like I have some great friends here in Kentucky and back in Oregon, but the best moments is when our phones are all turned off or we can't use them. And I feel like that's one of the magic, pieces of the wilderness is
Absolutely.
uh,
It's actually kind of
no
a
one's no
bonus
one's
if you
doing
go.
like this,
You're
you
right.
know.
It's kind of a bonus
Yeah,
to be able to get out so far you don't have service, which I know we have a heart attack about even thinking about that, but just to be able
yeah,
to
yeah,
not be so connected to that and be connected in the
yeah,
moment, and those campfire conversations are just incredible times to be had.
yeah,
What are I
yeah.
know that you mentioned hiking and camping, and maybe those are the biggest things that you are currently involved in. Is there anything
Mhm.
else that just outdoor wise right now you're really active with or trying to become more active with?
I want to do more backpacking trips. I've, certainly done a few. I did the Wallowa Mountains, which is between Oregon and Idaho, and it was insanely gorgeous, uh, and just an amazing experience. I remember when we first got there, the group that I was with, one of the big signs on like the trail marker map said like, "Beware heavy wolf activity in the area." And some of the people in the group are like, should we do this? Like, maybe it's too dangerous. I'm like, look, it is not exciting if your life is not in peril. So
Right.
let's do it. That makes it way more fun.
Absolutely. It makes for good stories too. I mean, come on. If you're
Yeah.
going to go out and have an experience like this, you need to have great stories to follow it up, right?
Oh,
Or
hell
at least
yeah.
I
Yeah.
think so.
Yeah. I feel like, someday when I'm 90 years old, I'm not going to look back and tell people in my old folks' home, I'm not going to say, I binge watched this show for a whole weekend and I saw all 19 seasons of this show and I watched this movie. Like I'm just, no one's going to remember that. And you're not going to care when you're 90 years old. But
Not
you
at
will
all.
remember, you know what? I backpacked through the Wallowa Mountains one time and I saw some of the most incredible things in my life. Or, I went out camp with my friends and we had this conversation about this thing that was really important to us. Or I came in contact with this beautiful animal and I saw it in the wilderness, not in a zoo. I just feel like that's the type of stories that I want to tell when I'm 90. I always say I want a resume of adventures. I want to be able to look back and be like, I did that. I wrote a comic book. I went hiking. I did this crazy thing. I went on an amazing race. Like, just say yes to these adventures and do it. And the hardest part is just planning. Most people don't know how to plan an outdoors camping trip. It's super easy. Probably wouldn't take anybody more than 15 minutes to plan a fun weekend. But people that haven't done it can seem intimidating. Like, I don't know how to contact a campground, or I don't know how to find a hiking trail, or I don't know how to follow a map, or all those things can be learned really, really easily. It is not designed for super trained experts. A lot of those things can be done easily. And then once you do it once or
Yeah.
twice, then you're good to go for the rest of your life. You'll know, like, okay, I got this. I know how to plan this. I know how this works now. I understand what this all means. And so I just challenge people to get outside your comfort zone and get out there and do it. You'll have much more amazing stories camping and hiking than you will on your couch watching TV. And you may argue with me, but I'm right. So
I'm not
there.
going to be arguing with you. I totally agree with you on that. And like you were saying, some people might not know where to start, and that's one of the things that we're trying to do with our blogs and directory, that people can
Mhm.
find those connections to be able to do that. And I'm not going to put you on the spot, but I'm going to put you on the spot. Maybe you should do a blog
Yeah.
for us about how to do a planet camping trip. It sounds like you've got some great
Okay.
experience, and I think that that would be great. I won't make you
I
answer
can do
that
that.
right now, but we'll come back to that later when we're not
It's normally me
live.
at home, like on the like campsite website, drinking bourbon, and then it comes time to go camp. I'm like, I forgot where I booked this. Oh, like I got an email or something. We'll figure it out. People are like, where are we going hike? I'm like, I don't know. I'll figure it out when I
I
get
don't
there. Don't you
know.
worry.
I don't know, but
I
it's
got
gonna be
this.
great wherever it is.
Yeah.
What's some of the biggest challenges you've faced as a gay man trying to get into the outdoors again and going hiking and camping and all of this thing?
Yeah. Well, I grew up in Scouts, and while I wasn't out of the closet super young, I always knew, since
Yeah.
kindergarten or something, that I was gay. And I just remember being in Scouts, and even the Scoutmaster and his son, who was second in command, they were just jerks. Like, and the homophobic bullcrap that came out of their mouth, the FAG word, and don't be a sissy, and don't be a PUSSY, and blah, 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 all that stuff. Like, I heard it all the time. And I was just like like clammed up, and it made it not enjoyable. It took all the fun out of it for me, and I eventually quit Scouts because of that. I was not kicked out. I didn't come out, but I realized that I don't. They made this not fun anymore. So I think that maybe started why I started to slink away in childhood from the outdoors, and now I'm old enough and bullheaded enough and confident enough to be like, I'm going back. I'm not. I'm gonna move past that, and I go back and find my adventures again. And I write
Uh,
comic books, so to me everything's dramatic and make believe. I call them quests. Like this weekend we're going on a quest, and it's going to be exciting, and it'll be dangerous, and that makes it so fun.
oh, that's awesome. I love it. What's one of, I'm sure you've got many, but what's one of your favorite experiences that you've had in the outdoors that you just, when, when you're old and you're in that retirement home or whatever, and you're sitting around a table with
Uh-huh.
some new friends and you just have that one memory that's just like, I gotta tell you about this time. And maybe that time's yet
Yeah.
to come, but up to now, what would you say that
Yeah.
is?
um I mean, I remember being in the mountains, and river water was very cold because it had literally melted off the mountain like
Yeah.
3 minutes prior. And I was like, I need to take a bath. I've been out for 3 days and I smell like butt. And so I've got to rinse off. And everyone's like, that's too cold. You can't get in that. You can't get in that. And I was like, I was cocky. And if you tell me I can't do it, I'm going to do it. Cause I'm like, I'm the kind, if you dare me, I'll jump off a cliff into a river or whatever. And cause my ego. And I jumped in that river. It was so cold. It burned. Didn't see my balls for 2 weeks. It was the worst experience.
uh,
It was
well,
it was literally like jumping into a glass of ice water.
that's an experience, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And we
Yeah.
have a lot of people that might be watching tonight, and they really don't know about if the outdoors is for them, or you know where to start, or anything like that. They're just thinking, this has piqued my interest. What would you do to say to people to encourage them just to take that step and try getting outdoors? Because there's so many activities that you can do outside. So it's not like you
Mm-hmm.
have to be proficient and amazing at kayaking and fly fishing and rock climbing and canoeing
Yeah.
and all these different things. There could be special niches, but
Yeah.
what would
For
you say to
sure. I mean,
encourage people to kind of take a step out?
I would say start small. Start on what's great about the outdoor world is we have all kinds of like secondhand equipment. If you're looking for a low uh, dollar, low cost tent or whatever, like you can find those online and eBay. So it's not too expensive. Hell, get a really basic tent. Sleep in your backyard one night. Just sleep outside. A nice
Yeah.
night where it's under the stars. Don't do your first night under like a thunderstorm or anything. But just pick a nice night and just sleep outside, and realize that it doesn't have to be terrifying. It doesn't have to be so scary. Just go out and relax and enjoy it. Look up a campground that does, simple tent camping. If you have a car that's big enough, sleep in the back of your car in a parking spot at a campground. They allow that in some places. Just start to Google like campgrounds near me. Literally, just Google those 3 words: campgrounds near me, and start there. Call the campgrounds. They usually have staff. Ask them questions. Hey, I've never done this before. What does electric hookup? What does that really mean? Or like what do I need to bring these things? Like just ask them simple questions. There's people out there that do this all the time. They're happy to help. I know it. One thing about the outdoor community is it's usually a bunch of nice folks. Not very many like uppity, like high society jerks go out and camp. So you're going to come
Yeah.
across a lot of really nice people, and find people that want to do it with you. Grab one or two people and say, hey, let's try this new thing. And do it. It's a fun thing to do as a group. I know some people love doing it alone. That's beautiful as well. I'm a people person, so I'm like, all right, 42 friends, we're all going camping. The more the merrier. Um, get out and start small. Sometimes we see these pictures of outdoors, and you see this guy and he's shredded and muscly and he's on top of a mountain. You're like, I can't hike that mountain. I can barely walk up the street. Don't think you're gonna hike a mountain. Just find a place you can drive up, park, get out and sleep in your tent, build a little fire and a little fire ring that's provided there. Bring some stuff to make s'mores and you know, simple food. Uh, and just start off small.
Yeah, that's really cool. Um, yeah, I think you sent us a couple of photos we would like to kind of check out too. Let's see if we are able to do
My nudes,
that.
here they come. I knew this. I knew this was coming.
Hey, if you sent it to us, we're not responsible for what you have sent us.
This is at the Bluegrass outdoor men's outdoor club. It's it's co-ed. I don't know why I'm saying that. But you can go and shoot there. I think it's been called that for 100 years, but everybody's welcome. You can go there and shoot rifles, shotguns. They have different ranges. I love my dad and I go out there and shoot archery. I'm really mostly I like to hunt, but I'm mostly just a target shooter. It's just fun to get out there. I love shooting a bow because it makes me feel like Orlando Bloom on Lord of the Rings. That's why I love bow shooting. It's because I'm a geek. This was just kind of a beautiful little shelter there. That's my dad and I out shooting bows.
Nice.
That particular day, I was aiming at a big old foam bear. So it's not a real animal, but it's the same whatever. And I shot from, I bet, 40 yards away, and that arrow went straight into the bear's penis. And I was like, if I had shot a real bear with that arrow, he would be so pissed. He would eat me alive. And I'm sure there's some like gay bar bear joke hidden in there somewhere, but don't.
Oh, that's
Okay,
so
here's
funny.
here's here's your first rule for surviving in the wild: don't shoot a bear in his penis with a bow and arrow.
That's probably a pretty good rule. Do you have anything else that you would like to share with our group and our viewers before we wrap up for the evening? Any final thoughts?
Uh, I don't think so. I just say get out, have adventures, take a million
Yeah.
pictures so you can remember every minute of it all later on. And I challenge you, and I know this makes me a villain to some people, but I say turn off Netflix. Go have an adventure. Get off
Yeah.
your couch.
Love it. We're going to show your Instagram, throw that up there so that any of our viewers that
Yeah.
they want to connect with you and ask you questions about any of the things that we've talked about, getting outdoors, hiking, camping, any of that kind of thing, that they can do that because I'm sure you'd love to be able to share your knowledge with them as well. And I just want to thank you for taking the time out and just really sharing your heart and passion for the outdoors and how you have returned back to the wild in the country, and we just love seeing that and hearing those stories. So, thank you for joining us,
Yeah.
Andrew, and we are so glad that you are a part of this community, and we hope that you have a great evening and that you stay safe out there.
You too. Thank you for having me. I love that y'all are doing this. Keep it up.
Thank you. So that's going to wrap up Andrew's interview tonight. I hope that you've enjoyed learning some from him. We just want to remind you about our website again, which is lgbtoutdoors.com. It's a great resource for you to be able to get connected, find campgrounds, find hiking trails. If you are a business or an organization that is fully supportive of LGBTQ people and you would like us to list your organization or business on our directory, again, just DM us on Instagram or shoot us an email at info@lgbtoutdoors.com. We are doing all listings for the rest of the year for free, so we would love to be able to do that for you. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our channel right below, as well as liking this video. And until next time, we hope that you stay safe, that you be true to who you are, be kind, and be you. Thank you, guys.